behalf of Elizabeth, Peter, Ian, Astrid, and Chris, I want to thank all of you for coming to honor the life of Zoe Jacobs. Before we begin, I do want to ask you all to make sure that your cell phones are turned off or put on silence. Thank you.
You are my sweetest downfall. I loved you first, I loved you first. Beneath the sheets of paper lies my truth. I have to go, I have to go. Your hair was long when we first met. Samson went back to bed, not much hair left on his head. Ate a slice of Wonder Bread and went right back to bed. And the history books forgot about us, and the Bible didn't mention us. The Bible didn't mention us, not even once. You are my sweetest downfall. I loved you first, I loved you first. Beneath the stars came falling on our heads. But they're just old light, they're just old lights. Your hair was long when we first met. Samson came to my bed, told me that my hair was red, told me I was beautiful, and came into my bed. Oh, I cut his hair myself one night, buried those scissors in the yellow light. He told me that I'd done alright, and he kissed me till the morning light, the morning light. And he kissed me till the morning light. Samson went back to bed, not much hair left on his head. Ate a slice of Wonder Bread and went right back to bed. Oh, we couldn't bring the columns down, yeah, we couldn't destroy a single one. History books forgot about us, and the Bible didn't mention us, not even once. You are my sweetest downfall. I loved you first.
When I tell people about Zoe's death, I do not use the word suicide. To me, that word conjures up a more impetuous and maybe violent act, and that is not her story. I tell people that Zoe chose to take her life on her terms and did so in the most mindful, thoughtful, peaceful way possible. She thought of every detail and every person who would be impacted by this decision. As a child, when Zoe began to talk, it became evident that she was a very sensitive person and had very distinct likes and dislikes because of this extreme sensitivity. In middle school, her body began to betray her in many painful ways, physically and emotionally. This began her journey, and ours, going to many, many doctors, traditional and holistic, to try to find a way for her to deal with what was becoming a chronic situation. Her solace was her friends, many of whom are here today. This continued into her high school years. Somehow she managed through it with the help of many teachers at Montclair High, her parents, and her devoted friends. During this time, she also had Karen Merchant, her beloved singing teacher, whom she took lessons with starting in 6th grade. Zoe's singing voice, which you'll be hearing later, is truly beautiful. Singing seemed to soothe her. 2 weeks before she was to leave for college, she finally got a diagnosis of interstitial cystitis, which is an incurable, painful bladder condition. The test to find this out made her pain even worse. College was out of the question for the time being. I'm sure that witnessing her friends leaving home to start this new chapter in their lives must have been very difficult for her. Her therapist suggested she might want to start dating, and like many people these days, she went online to explore this process. This is where she met Chris, her beloved partner, these past 5 years. As we have told Chris, these past 5 years have been the best ones of her life because of him. Chris drove down from Westchester to see Zoe during that first year, then was by her side and ours as she struggled through 2 years of school at Manhattanville College. Chris's parents, David and Carol, opened up their home and their hearts to Zoe, providing a respite from her tiny dorm room. During her second year at Manhattanville, she bonded with many of her suite mates, some of who are here today as well. When the opportunity arose for Zoe and Chris to move into the New York City apartment, which has now housed 3 generations of Peter's family, they took this leap together. During all this time, Zoe was struggling with pain, physical and emotional, trying every solution possible with our love and support. Chris stayed by her side, providing many moments of joy, humor, and true love. She tried taking classes at CUNY and learning stenography at Plaza College in Queens, but it was too hard for her tired brain to manage this. She also interned at an organization called GEMS, which helped girls and young women trying to escape the sex trafficking industry. Zoe was always extremely empathetic to those who were in dire situations beyond their control. She had a few hostess jobs in the city, then ended up working at a restaurant called Johnny Utah's, where she met many of you. These friendships expanded her world. I think she probably learned more about life from all of you in 1 year than those 2 years in college. She also cultivated many online friendships, which sprouted through various Facebook groups, where she found a way to connect with others with similar health issues and senses of humor. I know this really helped her to realize that she was not alone. Some of you are here today as well. As many of you know, Zoe had strong opinions and convictions in regards to many things, and shared them in her irreverent, empathetic, somewhat cynical way, with all those that knew her well. Her unique sense of humor helped her deal with the life she was given. But nothing gave her more unconditional love than her cats, starting with Fritz, then Pebble, then Loaf, then Sam. They soothed her in ways that none of us were able to. I can see in Sam's eyes how much he misses her. As Zoe said in her final letter to us, she had come to the decision 6 months ago that she could no longer endure the pain and suffering in this body, one she had not chosen to occupy. We got to know the news that Zoe was missing via text from Chris when we touched down at Newark Airport from our week away in Iceland. A few hours later, we discovered that she was gone. Her story unfolded over the next few days, as we got access to her writings. These words allowed us to understand the journey she had been on these last 6 months. In her 16-page dissertation, she lays out a very convincing argument about choice. She believed that it should be a human right for each of us to decide how we want to die. She articulately explained how unfair it is that our culture does not allow one to choose to end their pain and suffering, because this would cause those left behind to have to grieve. She was adamant that it was her choice not to have to live a long life of pain and suffering in this body that had consistently betrayed her. As usual, she presented a very logical argument, but her logic does not override the deep sadness that we all feel in this moment. She methodically researched and implemented a plan to leave her body in the most peaceful, pain-free way possible. She sought out the medications needed that would provide her the most gentle, peaceful way to end her life. She considered every aspect of the impact this decision would have. She created a will and had a healthcare directive. She left letters for her family and close friends. She even left a note and money for the person who would find her in the fancy hotel room in Hoboken, which overlooked the Hudson River. She even thought about the timing, not wanting to disrupt our trip. She made 3 new incredible voice recordings a few months ago. She also wrote down her final thoughts while she was dying. We will share both of these with you later. We will grieve. We will remember her. But I wanted you all to hear her story, her truth, and for you all to know that she got what she needed to finally be in control and free of pain.
It ain't no cover, it ain't no style. I shouldn't bother, he's 8 miles high. But I adore him, and I implore him, saying I love a mother till the day that I die. He sits there smoking his breath away. He sits there choking on what they say. But I adore him, and I implore him, saying one of these mornings I'm going away. The sun is setting, the day is done. Good night, my lover. Good night, my son. I shouldn't bother. He's 8 miles high. But I love a mother till the day that I die.
Thank you all for being here today. You're a meaningful part of Zoë in our lives. I'm going to read something that I wrote to Zoë about 8 years ago when she was having a particularly hard time. And it's what I love about you, Zoë. I love your sense of humor. I love it when we laugh together. Your singing brings peace to my heart. Your affection for Fritz and Pebble, our cats. The strong opinions you have and stand up for. Watching Sister Wives together. Going to IHOP. Eating Chinese food with you. Going to Wellfleet. Going to Mohawk at Christmas with you. Skating at Mohawk. I trust your judgment of people, even though at times it's extreme. I love watching Ben with you. You're a sweet person. You make me laugh. I love the picture of you wrapped in a towel when you were 5. I respect your discipline in doing your homework. I am proud of how well you do at school. I love watching you with Isabel. I love watching you with Ian. I love playing badminton and ping pong with you. I love your writing. I love playing word games with you. I love how you laugh with your friends. I love it when you sing around the house. I love it when you make up songs. I love it when you quote me Ponge and aphid. I admire how perceptive you are. You are smart. You are expressive. You are loving. You say what's on your mind. Your strength of conviction or dislike of olives. When you sing Samson, it gives me chills. I love your goldfish dance. I love it when you would chase me around the house, or when we play hide and seek. I love lying in the pool by you. I love your honesty, your doodle jump expertise. And when you dress up for Halloween, your taste in clothes, your talent for finding bargains shopping, your love of high lettuce wraps, watching The Daily Show and Colbert with you, your astute comments. I admire your discipline in sticking to a no-sugar and gluten-free diet, your inner strength, your sweet smile. I love you.
I'm Ian, Zoe's brother. I can't possibly sum up Zoe's short but extraordinary life in a 5 or 10 or 15-minute speech, so that won't be my goal today. Instead, I'll give you a few of my favorite memories of her, and will tell you what she has taught me, both in her life and in her death. One memory I won't ever forget took place in a house my family rented on Lieutenant Island in Cape Cod. The house had this moldy and frankly disgusting basement with one redeeming quality. It had a ping pong table. And Zoe and I did not waste it. We played all day and all night, at least until my parents called us for dinner. I'm not gonna lie, I went easy on her, which I think is totally fair because she was about 7 years old and I was 6 years her senior. But I saw the determination on her face to beat her older brother. She looked up to me, and to beat me in ping pong would be an incredible feat. Whether she actually defeated me, I do not recall. But I'm sure she would tell you she beat my ass several times. I do remember that we played hours upon hours without stopping, and it was some of the best, most memorable times of my life. I took her to a Jonas Brothers concert when she was around that age to take one to a Jonas Brothers concert. I withstood frequencies of screaming I never thought were possible. At the end, I remember she told me something like, I wasn't totally sure if I liked them, but now I can say I'm a fan. I felt like the best brother in the universe at that moment. Several years later, she told me she never liked the Jonas Brothers. And that the concert didn't change her mind very much. But she didn't have it in her heart to tell me at the time. She was so touched that her brother would do something like this for his sister. That was the kind of person that Zoe was. One more story. I was in a relationship many years back that Zoe did not approve of. I didn't know these were all laugh lines. I guess we can all picture her not approving of something. And one day, she decided to express it to me, and it changed my life. She was so perceptive. She knew that if she didn't say anything, I might have ended up marrying this person and settling down with him. One night, she broke down in tears and told me how she felt. How this person didn't value all my great qualities and how I deserved better. How she was afraid I would just get comfortable in the relationship and marry her. She was so right, and I knew it. And she told me this because she loved me, and she wanted to see me happy. That was the kind of person Zoe was. Zoe has taught me a lot, and made me think about things in a way I would never think about them. But I think the biggest or most important lesson I learned from Zoe was about empathy. Empathy, according to Merriam-Webster, is vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experience of another without having the feelings, thoughts, and experience fully communicated in an objectively explicit manner. We all like to think we have this, and many of us do. But do we have enough of it? Can we have enough of it? Is it possible to have the capacity to actually put oneself in another's proverbial shoes? No, it's not. True empathy is impossible, unless you have some supernatural ability. But Zoe experience is something not one of us can possibly fathom. And it is important for us to recognize that. We've all been in pain, and we can all identify with that. But the degree and type of pain Zoe experienced, we could not possibly identify with. And I don't think it does her a service to pretend that I or any of us can. I can tell you that she was a rational person with rational views on the world. She was in a pain that I truthfully cannot empathize with because I have no idea. Here's what I know. She was a loving person who cared deeply for her family, boyfriend, and friends. We will all miss her dearly. Her humor, her totally uniquely Zoe view of the world, her enigmatic feelings about Marianne Williamson and Jeb Bush, her strange and amazing nicknames for every member of her family. I can go on and on. Although Zoe's death is a part of her story, and an important one, it is not the most important one. Zoe was a complex person and faced many physical and psychological challenges. But I know that she would not like to be defined by any of that. She would like to be remembered as one that made a difference in people's lives, who made people change or consider changing their views on their firmly held beliefs. One who stuck to her beliefs, no matter the repercussions. One who expressed her feelings in an articulate and profound way. I certainly remember her this way. And I'm sure everyone here that knew her does too. I still can't believe I will never see Zoe or hear her distinctive laugh, probably playfully ridiculing one of my mom's idiosyncrasies. However, we are left with her beautiful singing voice, which all of you have heard and will hear more of today. Her singing voice, I believe, provides us an intimate glimpse into her exquisite soul. And I hope when you are all listening, you will close your eyes and appreciate the life of Zoe. I'm not sure how to end this, but I suppose I must. So I will end with a quote I know she would be proud of, by the comedian Jim Gaffigan, who Zoe and I saw perform several times. Pie can't compete with cake. Put candles in a cake, it's a birthday cake. Put candles in a pie, someone's drunk in the kitchen.
to all of you for being here for Zoe. It feels strange to call Zoe Zoe because we almost never refer to each other by our actual first names. It was always some weird nickname that only the two of us knew about. In fact, I always thought Zoe sounded like more of a little kid's name than something you should call an adult. And she always lamented the fact that it was a popular name for people's pets. One time she was taking our cats to the vet, and the lady at the front desk said, Zoe. And Zoe went up to the front desk and she looked past her and made eye contact with a little Cocker Spaniel. The human to dog ratio of Zoes in the world has been shifted in favor of the dogs, something that I'm sure Zoe was reluctant to allow. Zoe was many things, Jewish supposedly, but on her dad's side, which does not actually count according to the serious Jews. She had perfect vision and bragged about it constantly, despite having done nothing to earn the perfect vision she was simply born with. Not worth having pride in that. She had terrible posture, refused to learn how to drive, and she used a foot grater to chisel large dustings of calluses from her feet. She was a lateral quadrupod, which is a strange and very idiotic way of holding a pencil. It makes no sense. You'll see it a little bit later. She was obsessed with doppelgangers and living in a simulation. She hated olives, Catholicism, and the elderly. Not everyone, but she got annoyed. She got annoyed with old people. And now that she's gone forever, it's very sad. And I think if she were here with us right now, I think she would have just one question. Why the fuck are there so many goddamn baby boomers in this room? Chris, will you please lock the doors and burn this fucking church to the ground? Because if you don't, I promise you that Joe Biden will get the nomination. I'm kidding because Zoe truly loves some of the people in this room. Other people here, frankly, she could take them or leave them. Yes. Someone who is so incompetent at so many things, I never thought she would manage to successfully end her own life. But somehow she managed to prove so many of us wrong. Asshole. That's a little dark. Truthfully, Zoe is someone who would want me to be making tasteless jokes right now. In one of our last conversations, she called me an ass munch. That same week, she was talking about a friend who had survived leukemia as a child, and I said, I wish I had bullshit leukemia so I could leave work whenever I want. And I'd like to really hone in on one detail, which is that in her final letter to me, Zoe made a 9/11 joke. That's right, she made a 9/11 joke in one of her suicide notes. This is the type of person we're dealing with here. I didn't really mean to date Zoe at first, but decided to meet her in New Jersey on a whim. She introduced herself as Zoe with or without the umlaut, the little dots over the E, which I took as an opportunity to always use the umlaut. I remember sitting down next to her and feeling very much at ease almost immediately. She cursed a lot right off the bat, which I liked. And I wore these sneakers when we first met, these disgusting gray, ugly sneakers, and she called them the basic sneakers. And would say they look like something Larry David would wear on Curb Your Enthusiasm. But truthfully, every time I saw her, I'd be a little bit more impressed. Zoe was always the one to push our relationship forward, and if I have goodness in me, it's because Zoe built that up month after month and year after year. Early in our relationship, when I would say terrible and thoughtless things to her, she forced me to become sensitive. She taught me to treat others the way they want to be treated, not just how I want to be treated, and would skewer me when I exhibited qualities of what the kids refer to today as fuckboys. I never tried to make our relationship into a good relationship. It was good because she wanted it to be. She was always willing to be vulnerable, and she was brave enough to reveal herself to me before I had really done the same. She wanted to celebrate every anniversary, birthday, and even every half anniversary, a little bit much, with funny little gifts and thoughtful letters she would make by hand. Zoë made me feel proud of myself. There's a line from the British show Peep Show, which we watched endlessly together, where a character begins a relationship and says, "Now I'm a normal functioning member of the human race, and there's no way anyone can prove otherwise." And that's how Zoë made me feel. Zoë looked at me like I was the king of her entire world. I always saw her as more of a sidekick type. If anyone here remembers Scrappy-Doo, that was, Scooby-Doo. Saw her that way some of the time. For the past 5 years, Zoë and I were completely symbiotic, almost to the point of being telepathic. It felt more like we were two heads that belonged to the same bizarre creature, rather than possessing separate selves. And so when she died, it truly felt like at least half of me had died with her. We would always look at fictional couples on Netflix shows who were written and idealized by professional writers, and talk about how boring and shitty their banter was compared to our own. Our partnership really did bring out the best in us both, because I'm not nearly as funny and fun to be around now that she's gone. The best friendships and relationships elevate a person's better qualities, and no one elevated me quite like Zoë. Zoë knew exactly who I am. She was always able to see the weird gears turning in my head, and she always got a kick out of them. She laughed her ass off when I'd be getting a haircut and pretend to care about sports teams in order to make small talk with the barber. When I asked the showrunner of The Handmaid's Tale, on Hulu, a question during a Q&A we had gone to, I said to Zoë afterwards, I thought I sounded pretty natural and asked a pretty smart question. She said that may be true, but because she knew me so well, she could tell that I was using every muscle in my body not to appear nervous. Only she could notice such a thing. We had a combined sense of humor that is pretty indescribable. Our running jokes almost formed a second language, and the average conversation between us in our apartment at night would be indecipherable by the outside world. So much so that going back to ordinary conversations in English feels bland and empty. I could explain a few of our jokes, but doing so would not do justice to the world we shared so exclusively for so many years. I'm sure anyone who has experienced a deep love with another person knows what I'm talking about. I don't say these things to sanctify Zoë. The two of us would often mock the way people respond to death, and she rolled her eyes at the thought of being included in trite Facebook posts about mental health and suicide. And while there's wisdom to be gleaned from Zoe's choices and circumstances, I think it would be a mistake to mythologize her or see her primarily as a life lesson. Zoë laughed her ass off all the way to her grave, and I think that was her greatest strength of all. During our final text conversation, only a few hours before she died, she reminded me about the time Marco Rubio chipped his tooth on a frozen Twix bar. An hour before she died, she ridiculed me for wearing socks with holes in them, which she had stolen from me. And like I said, she also reminded me of what an ass munch I am. When I think of Zoë going forward, I won't think of the dates we went on and the trips we took, but how much the mundanity of everyday life was when she was a part of it. 6 months into our relationship, Zoë had asked me, what does love mean to you? And I think now I have a pretty good answer. To me, it means slapping our cat Loaf in the face with slices of American cheese while we watch movies and eat fruit roll-ups. Or watching her sneak prosciutto into movie theaters. She snuck prosciutto into big movie theaters and then nibble it in back like a giant rodent. Or the time she roly-poly into the guacamole late one night. I'll remember late nights at CVS's in many different states, and how I'd always buy her a CVS rose if they were in stock, and only from CVS, never from an actual flower store. I'll remember how she left the lights on in our apartment every single goddamn night, no matter how many times I told her not to, and all the bowls of Cheerios she would leave sitting out for days, and they coagulate and they're very annoying to clean. And I'm not her mother, so, I'll think about how I beat her at Monopoly every single time and rubbed it in her face, even though it's a purely luck-based game, and how she kicked my ass at Russell, which actually did take some skill. I also bragged. I'll remember how we ridiculed her brother Ian's ex-girlfriend Gemma before he found happiness with Astrid. I'll remember how I'd yell at her for ordering veal marsala every night, especially since she made me get the door and the delivery guy thought I was the one constantly ordering veal to our apartment. He was very friendly to me. We struck up a friendship. And all the time she made me watch terrible Christian movies, the best of which was The Unexpected Bar Mitzvah. Very anti-Semitic. Highly recommended. And the way we would walk through the Columbia campus and loudly refer to it as Cadumbia because they couldn't get into Harvard and Yale. Not very smart. I'll remember the time a man's body odor hit us in the face while we waited in line to go to a haunted house before Halloween, and specifically how outraged she was that it came from a middle-aged man surrounded by family members who lacked the collective decency to tell him how bad he smelled. And of course, I'll think about what a sore winner she was when Sam, our cat, would come over to us and choose to sit in her lap over mine every single time. She would call me a stepping stone to mommy. Who's the stepping stone now, asshole? Zoe once told me that she wanted to give me the world, which she did. She also said that it's hard to say goodnight when I enjoy being with you so much. And I think that's how she felt about leaving us. You know, hard to say goodnight when I enjoy being with you so much. Because even though she experienced chronic pain 24 hours a day, almost never got a full night's sleep, I was there and I saw it. She was up all night and all day. She endured all of our company. Misery was never her salient quality. She was 1,000 times more empathetic, sensitive, funny, and irreverent than she was depressed. I'll think of Zoe many times as I live out the rest of my life. I'll feel close to her when I approach death myself, if I'm fortunate enough to know that it's coming, and if I'm diagnosed with some kind of painful and terminal disease, maybe I'll choose a similar exit and take comfort knowing I'm following in her footsteps. And even if I don't see death coming, when my life flashes before my eyes, I'll be grateful to see some truly happy images from my youth thanks to Zoe. One of my letters to Zoe from a while ago said that I have always believed that life is pretty meaningless, but I will be grateful for as long as I live that I got to spend some of it with you. And I have no doubt that for as long as I live, I'll want nothing more than to have one more night of rolling around in filth in our apartment, even when I'm a decrepit old man, and when most of the people in this room are dead, and I'm surrounded by young people who annoy the hell out of me. Zoe's distant relative, Ralph Waldo Emerson, they're related, said that it is one of the blessings of old friends that you can afford to be stupid with them. Well, Zoe and I were stupid together nearly 24 hours a day, and the time we spent doing insignificant and completely stupid things was the best time of my entire life. I'm going to transition now to a short video I cut together, mostly consisting of such insignificant moments, set to one of Zoe's favorite Elliott Smith songs, one of the rare ones that don't sound very depressing. Before I do that, I'd like to leave you with the final sentence from Zoe's final letter to me. She wrote, I didn't get to have a happy ending, so have one for me, please. And while endings are not really happy in a chronological sense, ultimately we die, and usually the final days are not that fun. I hope we can still do our best to fully experience and hold on to the moments of true happiness that are made available to us just as she did. Thank you, and I hope I've managed to upstage Zoe by giving a good speech. Jeff for president. Thanks.
First video of love. Oh, Ziggy, little pause. Go for the big jump. The big jump. The big jump. The big jump.
I'm no, a big tough guy. Ah, rah, rah. Ooh, I'm so ferocious. Oh, I'm so terrifying. Fucker keeps trying to eat the straps. They're not food, Loaf. Loaf.
Take a video, because last time we didn't get a video.
Look at this
It is very
baby.
cute how he needs.
Yeah, he needs the air.
Oh, he's a belly cat, look. Oh, he likes having his belly rubbed.
And shark. You grasp with my finger there? Yes, Sam. Hell yes, Sam.
Loaf, this is literally why he beats your ass up.
Sam.
Pig!
Oh my god. There seems to be some confusion about how to hold a pencil. So I'm just gonna let you guys know that this is the right way to hold a pencil. Hey, get out of the frame.
Huh?
Get out of the frame.
Are you recording me? Are you recording me? You doing it again? Hey, Bon.
Hey! Refuse to scritch.
I did lots of scritch.
If you did enough, I wouldn't have to use a hairbrush.
You're using a hairbrush to scratch your legs. What do you think of this little cat? I'm gonna go to the store, okay? Do you want me to get anything? No?
Apple.
Apple?
Gucci, please.
Gucci apple? Fuji.
Why was I being a racist?
You said racist things.
What? Against what group specifically?
Against a group that does not need any racism, that's all that these people.
Italians.
That's right, Human. Cover your stench.
Fuck you.
Cover that stench, Stinky. That's right.
Go to
Get.
bed.
Get.
Go to bed.
Get.
Oh, I was doing well, now I'm doing worse for today. Oh, you're going the other way. Let's get this way. It's easier.
Oh god, this is such a good angle. Oh my god, you get so many, Chris. This is like amazing.
She's doing her camera. She's gonna ruin it in the video. They're gonna ruin it.
I haven't wanted to do anything for a long time. Whatever you're doing now would probably suit me fine if you're all done like you said you'd be. What are you doing hanging out with me? What are you doing hanging out with me?
I met Zoe in pre-K, and if Zoe hadn't been a part of my life, my childhood would have been very different. I wouldn't have known how to legally download music or how to set up an AIM account. I would have at least 10 less nicknames, and so would many of you. I would have never created a parody of Fergalicious called Turkeylicious, which was about baking a turkey. I wouldn't have made a shoe out of cardboard or spent an entire weekend creating maps of imaginary places. I wouldn't have spent so many hours prank calling random phone numbers or playing The Sims and Dance Dance Revolution, and I wouldn't have had a friend to share my obsession with cats. Most importantly, I wouldn't have created the countless uniquely weird homemade iMovie videos under Orzo Productions. An average weekend was never the same, was never complete without a sleepover at Zoe's, and a decade of my life would not have been complete without her friendship. Zoe made the world a lot funnier, and life wouldn't have been the same without her unparalleled sense of humor, creativity, and strong opinions.
Hi, my name is Devin. I met Zoe in elementary school through our friend Aura. One spring Saturday in 7th grade, Aura and I came over to Zoe's house. As we approached the door, we heard a muffled commotion from inside the entryway. Elizabeth answered the door, and Zoe came into view sliding down the stairs laughing on a pillow. She came to a stop at the bottom of the stairs and said with perfect comedic timing, "You guys gotta try this." We spent the next 3 hours sliding down those stairs on that pillow, the same pillow I rested my head on during so many sleepovers at Zoe's house. Sleepovers in which we read aloud to each other from the House of Night series, then proceeded to draw moons on each other's foreheads with Zoe's blue eyeliner. Sleepovers at which we worked each other up, dancing and singing to Spinning Wheel and Stool Pigeon, and coming up with endless what we'll call niche inside jokes. Sleepovers at which we inevitably found it difficult to wind down, especially since one of us, usually Aura, didn't want to acknowledge that the joke has run its course, and it was time to go to sleep. We shared a love for Ben Folds and Regina Spektor and a hatred for Tyson Ritter, who, for those of you who are not familiar, is the lead singer of the All-American Rejects. Google image search Tyson Ritter for Zoe. The results are chilling. We were also tolerant of each other's differences. Largely, Zoe was tolerant of the fact that I am a dog person, although she frequently mentioned it was a less than favorable aspect of my personality. I believe she used the word repulsive to describe my fondness for that. Time spent with Zoe was indisputably the most fun, creative, bizarrely hilarious hours of my life, during which we created memories that have become stories I will cherish and share forever. Thank you.
Zoe was one of the funniest and most creative people I've ever known. Starting from such a young age, Zoe was able to find humor in dark and absurd situations. Zoe made the Montclair public school experience not only bearable, but also hilarious, a huge feat for anyone who knows. Riding the smelly, loud bus home from Glenfield became material for 2 musicals, one of which is included in the zine we've assembled. Every teacher got a nickname: Schwartzy Tortsy, the Treatmeister, and the Hubsant, who I regularly still see at Whole Foods. When we both started using the Herbal Essences hair mousse, which of course we bought at CVS, called Tousle Me Softly, she innovated the song, tousle me softly when we say goodnight. To be friends with Zoe was to experience the world as a private joke, designed only to amuse us. Zoe was also an incredibly loyal and supportive friend. I can always count on her saying, "Nobody messes with my Falf." She was there when I ran to her house in the middle of the night in search of glue to finish a school project, and when I was bored in finance class, and Zoe told my teacher that her, of course, fictional dog had died. So I had an excuse to leave class with her and hang out, until the teacher pointed out that we collectively played him. Earlier this year, I called Zoe, panicked and in the midst of a roommate crisis. Within minutes, she had me laughing hysterically about how absurdly awful my roommate was, while also saying, "So if you can't live like that anymore." Zoe was confident in her stances, hilarious in her takes on the world, and endlessly supportive. Being friends with Zoe since 3rd grade has shaped the way I see the world and taught me to find humor in surprising places. And for that, I'm extremely grateful.
When I'm talking about Zoe,
It is rare that I'm not keeled over in laughter during a dramatic retelling of a hilarious story of us during middle school or high school. She was always one of the most genuine, caring, and funny people I knew, and she always had the beautiful ability to bring out the silly side of whoever was in the room with her. I very literally peed myself one time from laughing so hard at the gag gift she and Libby mutually gave Sophia for her birthday one year. One day I walked into middle school wearing cowboy boots, and Zoe dubbed me Sheriff Baby Mouth on account of my tiny mouth and pointy boots. She made up a song dedicated to my mouth in the tune of Spider-Man. Baby mouth, does whatever a regular mouth can't, which I still sing to this day. Zoe might be making homemade music videos to pop songs in my room in the 4th grade, or spending a night sending chat messages to online shopping help rooms. It didn't matter, we were always laughing. She was constantly poking fun at the world in a way that was full of compassion and brightness, and in a way that made people feel loved. Often I felt like Zoe knew me so well and was looking out for me when I didn't know how to look out for myself. She was always one of the first people to smell the bullshit in my life and be like, this isn't right. This isn't gonna happen on my watch. It often felt like she was the protector of me and some of our friends before I became conscious of the fact that things weren't sitting right. I always trusted Zoe's intentions. I knew she held my happiness at her heart and that her friends were her family. Zoe is a once-in-a-lifetime friend. I will always hold her laugh, her kindness, her joy, her silliness in my heart. Thank you.
I love hearing all these stories about Zoe. I knew her in a very specific way, so this is giving me a real palette of color to go with my memories. Zoe came to me a little over 12 years ago when she was just 11, a small, shy, sweet young girl who wanted singing lessons. I remember very clearly my first impression when I first heard her sing. She didn't sound like a typical 11-year-old girl with a little girl voice. There was something in the tone, a richness and a maturity that were unique. I knew right away that this girl's talent was special. It was such a pleasure to work with her from the very beginning. And I loved watching her grow and develop as both a singer and an artist, but also as a human being over the ensuing 8 or 9 years. We became quite close, and I grew to know her and love her like a daughter, not just as my student. She often confided in me, and I knew of her struggles with her health, which often got her down. There were many canceled lessons at the last minute when she just couldn't bring herself to come and sing. I understood how difficult it was for her, and it was often heartbreaking to know how much she suffered. However, there were many times when she came for a lesson, not feeling great, but once we got started and she began to sing, her face would light up and her demeanor would change. I often said to her, well, I know you have all this awful health stuff going on, but I want you to always remember that you can sing, and that's a rare gift. She would leave the lesson feeling so much better, so much happier. It was a real transformation. I feel so privileged to have known her as I did and to have shared this unique relationship with her in music. I was always so enormously proud of her, especially knowing what physical challenges she was constantly dealing with when she performed at my yearly recitals. She was uniformly wonderful and always got so many compliments afterwards. She was the highlight of the show. She would stand so still. No gestures, no big deal, and just sing with this pure tone right into the microphone. It was extraordinary. I'll never forget her beautiful smile and the light in her eyes when she returned to me after her performance, knowing that she nailed it. Seeing that glow on her face was priceless. I will miss her, and there will always be a special place in my heart where she resides. Thank you. Whoa. I'm Bonnie. I'm a close family friend. I met Zoe when she was in utero. We were in yoga class together, along with her mother, Elizabeth. She had to bring her along. The word that comes to mind when I think about Zoe is, or the words, not quite domesticated. And I think it was the most delightful and sometimes difficult thing about her, right? So I have one memory I'd like to share, and then we're going to open this platform of open mic for whoever wants to come up and say a few words about her. But I'll share this very early memory. She couldn't have been more than 4 or 5 years old. And Zoe and her entire family came down to the Jersey Shore to visit with me and my family. And we went to the beach, and I took off my cover-up of my bathing suit. And Zoe started getting very upset. And so her mom was trying to quiet her down a little bit, because it's like a little bit of a scene on the sand. And finally, Zoe came out with it that my legs were freaking her out. She had a very specific aesthetic, which I was not meeting the standard. So I put my cover up on, and we continued on and enjoyed the rest of the day. But that was Zoe. Very much who she was, very real. No bullshit. And now I'd like to open up the floor, and whoever would like to speak can line up on this side if you have something you want to say, something you'd like to share. So take it away.
Hello, everybody. I'm Libby. I was Zoe's friend from like late elementary school, middle school, and from then on, because we got closer in middle school. I just in maybe 7th grade, me and Zoe and Lauren and Sophia and our friend Paul kind of had like this little coalition called Meandering Club, and we would sort of just go on these little adventures. Different people would kind of swap in and out. We would sometimes we'd go to specific places. We went to IKEA. We went to Funtime Junction. Other times we were just sort of walking around. I feel like a lot of the time it truly wasn't so adventurous. It was just like walking around my neighborhood, but it was just imbued with this like feeling of just like pure creativity and potential and just this beautiful, like, we were just walking around on my birthday one day and like, Zoe picked up this stick. It was Rustafa. It was like a stick with a mitten on the end, and then that got added to our like little kind of cast of characters. I think just the way that Zoe just acquaintances, you know, random strangers, something about them we'd latch onto, and then they, yeah, like everyone says, these like incredible running jokes. This tank of fish that Peter had, we nicknamed it Blackie, and it was funny because it wasn't just like one fish was named Blackie, it was like its collective name. It was Blackie, but yeah, one day Blackie got dumped into the backyard, kind of unceremoniously. Like, do you know that it had a collective name? Like, that was a pet, collectively. Another funny one, we had a school field trip to the bodies exhibit, and before going in, I was like, Zoe, like, the one thing you can't do, you can't like name, and the bodies exhibit is of course, this sort of, they like kind of plasticize like tissues and bones and stuff so you can kind of see people's internal organs. It's this kind of like scientific / sensationalistic, you know, you know, strange biological exhibit that tours. And so it's like you can't name these weird skinless muscle bodies. And then when we went in, she immediately like just named all of them, and then they became the characters in this fictional sitcom premise called Leaders with Off. That was it was me, but everyone else in the show were these like skinless bodies, like my whole family. For some reason, I was just there. I was like a 15-year-old, and yeah, there were lots of zany adventures in the shows. Yeah, just so much incredible laughter and just an amazing person who I'll always miss. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nick. I know Zoe because of many weird niche Facebook groups, and that's probably confusing to a lot of you, but there's a lot of groups out there, and people kind of congregate, and that's what happened, and I don't even remember what group I found her in, but almost 2 years ago, I made this group, Pointless Oversharing Safe Haven, or called POSH, and many of its members are in the back there. We've all been laughing at the very inappropriate jokes this whole time, and it just warms my heart that we all made it out here for this. And you know, I'm just so happy that I got to meet her get to know her for the last year and a half, and we became very close. That might be a confusing thing too, how so many people on the internet can get so close to each other, but everyone really took the oversharing part seriously, like very seriously. So we all got to know each other very intimately, and honestly, I think we all share things on there that we haven't even shared with people in our real lives. So it's been very special, and we talked a lot about our mutual love for Lana Del Rey, Banks, The Handmaid's Tale, Westworld, a lot of other awesome stuff, and she won't get to see this 3rd season of Westworld. That's fucking annoying. Okay, so we have like a bunch of offshoot groups, and one of them is called Pointless Gripe Posting, and people just post stupid gripes that they just, I don't know, they're annoyed about stuff. And she posted a lot of really funny ones. And there's one about, she said something like, I am tired of seeing movies where people have a jogging hobby to like symbolize them, you know, trying to surmount this like struggle in their life or something. It was like very like long. And I just kind of read it and I was like, huh, yeah. And I knew what she was talking about, but the conviction and the passion that she was so irritated by something like that and other really like menial things was just so funny. And as Chris illustrated earlier and other people have, you know, she really hyper-focused on certain stuff that was just, you know, cheesy. And she hated that. So it was really funny reading what she had to say about that. And unfortunately, I won't get to see any more of those posts in the future, but luckily in the group, all her posts are still there, so I think we all have been referring back to her posts and her videos, that weird lateral quadrupod thing, that was a whole tangent in itself, and I still don't understand it, but that was in the group and other pictures and videos, so I'm glad that that is there to look back on, and I'm just glad that I've gotten to know her, and I'll miss her. Thank you.
Zoe, when I knew her, was a young girl. She was very sensitive to everything in the world around her. Smells and tastes and sounds and emotions. Her skin was a wide expanse of possible irritations. She and I found comfortable common ground through quiet, gentle touch. I was her babysitter. When she had trouble returning from discomfort to calmness, Ian was always there. He was always reassuring. He always made us popcorn or cookies. And he always knew finding just the right distraction to help her change her course and come back to calmness. And Ian had magic for her. Life will never be the same without Zoe. But this heart-wrenching, chest-crushing, breath-stealing time will ease some and turn into an ache. And when that happens, our souls become large enough to hold it all. The grief and the pain, and the joy and the love.
I'm here today to celebrate Zoe. My relationship with Zoe began when she was still in her mom's belly. I used to talk with her, and many times I could feel her presence vividly. It was very palpable. Throughout these years, Elizabeth always reminds me that at that time, I would say to her, "Wait and you'll see. This one is coming here to teach you, Elizabeth." Well, what I didn't realize is that she would be a great teacher for me as well. I stand here today in awe of what I have been learning since Zoe's passing. I can tell you that time and space are not linear. And because she's so alive within my heart, I know you're eternal. I want to take this moment to ask that each of us take a minute to feel the love we feel for Zoe. Now, let's send this love to her. In this flow, we create a field of pure love, the oneness that we all are. May she feel this love. May we all find new creative ways to relate to each other with love. This is the time to let go of everything we think we know.
Hi, I'm Abigail, and I am Zoe's auntie. One thing I've loved about being here is I live in California, so I only see her, summer, Christmas, and everything. And it just warms my heart so much to hear about all that she meant to you and all the things that she did and made you laugh and was part of your life. Chris, I loved hearing what you talked about in your relationship, and it fulfills her even more than I knew her. When I first heard of her death, I was crazy, crazy sad, and I want to praise her life and everything she's done, but I just wanted to share a little bit of what I wrote once I had heard of her death. I loved my niece. I thought I had the rest of my life to be with her, to listen to her, to have moments of lightness and sadness, and to finally sing together. I loved her voice, her melodic sweet spots, her thoughts. I loved my niece so much. I miss her so much. And I enjoyed so much hearing all what she meant to you. I just can't express that. Thank you.
So, against my better judgment, and to the advice of my friends, I'm gonna tell the story anyway. Me and Zoe were co-workers at Johnny Utah's, and I want to say about the first 2 months. I'm not gonna go into details. I'm not gonna throw out specifics, but I heard a lot about the nicknames that Zoe gave to the people that she knew and also didn't know. I was no exception. Like I said, no details, no specifics. I'm wrong place, wrong time, but I'll never forget this name. The next day I came into work after whatever happened. Oh, what's up, JT? It had a nice ring to it, so I felt like after that I walked into work feeling like Dwayne Johnson. I said, all right, I could work with this. But all jest aside, she another good quality about her that I was exposed to was the empathy. And some weird sense of curiosity that kind of scared me. At the time, when I first started working in Utah, I also worked at a homeless shelter for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And when I told Zoe this, she seemed fascinated at first. She was like, wow, is it, I heard stories about places like that. Like, is it true? I said, Zoe, it is 1,000 times worse than that. All the stuff you see in the bar, whatever, pales in comparison. Wow, that's crazy. And in my head, I'm like, why are you interested? It's, it's not, don't bother. But another thing that we spoke about, along with our irritation with some of the customers that used to come in there, rude and all. She found out that I've been doing martial arts for the last 20 years. And one thing she brought up was that she also did martial arts for quite some time. So we spoke about that. She asked, she said, so when you gonna open up your dojo? And then after that, she continue to joke about, oh, what's up, Sensei? Like, how's your quest to becoming a dojo master? And I'm just standing there, and I'm like, well, it's not going anywhere. But one of the things, like I said, it was the empathy, and it was just a simple fact that Zoe was one of the few people that actually was interested in some of the stories that I shared. And if she wasn't, she did one hell of a job pretending that she did. So, the last time I seen her, it's been a while, but, I said, so what's up, how you doing, how's everything going, I wasn't feeling too good, so spoke about that, just take it easy, be careful, one step at a time, don't let these new customers get to you, you know what I'm saying, if anything, I'm right here, I'll take care of the rest. But, last thing, she left, all right, I'll see you later. And now I'm over here thinking, well, I hope and pray to God that I do get to see you later. So.
I also work at Johnny Utah's logo, so yeah. You also left out the part where she said she could kick his ass. But like many of you, we all share a lot of experiences with Zoe. I got to know her for a lot less than some of you, but I've heard about Ian, Chris, her parents, her mom, I believe, was a sculptor. She sculpted many various things. I apologize. Her dad writes a lot. I heard a lot of things about all of you guys, and she loved everyone, like you said, empathy was a big thing with her. One thing that she taught me a lot about was tolerance, because where I'm from, certain things aren't very acceptable, and she taught me to see things from a different perspective. And like you said, very convincing. She would have made a hell of a politician. Like, she knows how to speak and articulate herself in ways that a lot of people don't. And she will always, one thing she was really gifted with, she can always share her perspective without forcing it upon you, and always allow you to see her view of things without forcing you to see it. So, on behalf of the Johnny Utah staff, I think we're all very thankful to work with her, share a lot of experiences with her. The videos of her riding on the bull was funny. If you knew what it took to get her up there, what I mean? She was there for years, and not years, she was there for a while and refused to ride that thing. We finally got her on it. It was amazing. She barely lasted, but once again, on behalf of Johnny Utah, thank you. Thank you to her family. Thank you very much for allowing us to get a chance to know her, and thank you very much.
Where technical difficulties are being faced, I wanted to take this opportunity to also share a memory that I'm sharing with Zoe. I'm Astrid, I'm her sister-in-law. And I remember a time close to Christmas when her cousin came to New York City from California. She was 9 at the time, and he wanted to show her New York. It's a little hard when you're little, you can't do that many things. So I found this children's museum, and I thought, it might be a fun thing. So Isabel, her cousin, and Zoe and I, we went there. And it was crap. It was really bad. It was just 4 floors full of screaming toddlers, and there I am with the 9-year-old trying to make the best out of the situation. You should have seen her, how she pretended, how everything is like really nice and really great, which it wasn't. And there's Zoe, a 21-year-old, telling it how it is. This place is gross. It's grimy. It's loud. I actually want to leave. And she was this is really something that crystallizes in the memories that I've heard today, that she was a no bullshit person, that she said how it is, and that she stood up to her opinions in front of 50 toddlers and their judging parents. And yeah, this is just one of the memories I will always cherish, and yeah.
I'm wasted losing time. I'm a foolish, fragile spine. I want all that is not mine. I want him, but we're not right. In the darkness I will meet my creators, and they will all agree that I'm a suffocator. I should go now quietly, for my bones have found a place to lie down and sleep. All my layers can become reeds, all my limbs can become trees, all my children can become me. What a mess I leave to follow, to follow. In the darkness I will meet my creators, and they will all agree that I'm a suffocator, suffocator. Oh no, I'm sorry if I smothered you. I sometimes wish I'd stayed inside. My mother never to come out.
Zoe was conceived on a full moon. She was born on a full moon, and she died on a full moon. And I brought my moon sculpture that I made, but I forgot to light it. Maybe we'll light it and bring it into the reception. I'm going to share some final thoughts from the letter that Zoe left with her at the hotel room. I'm sitting here looking at the full moon and the New York skyline. There are still some people in the office building next door, even though it's 9 o'clock. Fox News is mad about the Democratic debates in the background. I feel calm, steady. I feel like I'm almost going into death in luxury. The peaceful Nebutal, the fancy hotel with the beautiful view. There have not been any tears yet today. I am happy soon to be free of all responsibilities, all stresses, and all of the tragedies of the world. Okay, I have to turn Sean Hannity off. What a bedbug of a person. I have so many wonderful memories with wonderful people. I have been very, very loved, but my baseline from the day I was born was sensitive, fragile, melancholic, empty, lonely, and uncomfortable. It's where I always return. It's fear. I'm more scared of life than death. So, am I psychotically depressed? At this current moment, no. And I don't see this. What's about to happen, and it doesn't matter if I fail or succeed, it will still be regarded as such, as a tragedy. I see tragedy woven into many of my life circumstances. And I think it's tragic how negatively this will affect people I love. But dying a peaceful death in my sleep, in a lovely hotel, after being able to express my final thought, is more bittersweet in my mind. Death comes for us all, and is usually preceded by unspeakable suffering. So I will say this: I feel free, and I feel in control
for the first time in a very, very long time, maybe ever. I'm done being a slave to my sensitivities. There are no tears. Maybe I'm numb, I don't know. But I am calm. I am as ready as one can reasonably be for what comes next.
And so these are some of my final thoughts. In much of life, we don't hear the music until it stops. Jolted by the silence, it awakens our mind's memory of what existed before. That enlightened moment teaches us to listen more carefully to what is present and to be more present. In an essay written by Zoë in 2011, she writes, "Changing implies sacrifice. Every new opportunity, tragedy, or situation turns a new chapter in one's life. Although they may carry with them past knowledge, skills, and memories, one cannot expect to take on a new challenge without embracing a new idea and potentially discarding an old one." Zoe's choice has shaken us into a wakefulness to look deeper within ourselves, to question preconceived ideas, and with this changed perception, form new ones. It is a bittersweet awareness that makes me realize that the greater the pain, the greater the love. One cannot exist without the other, and our love for our children is unconditional. Zoe has taught me much throughout her life, and with her passing, I have a deeper understanding of her world and has forever changed mine. Zoe never hesitated to express her intolerance of bullshit, superficiality, and disingenuous people. She mixed irony and irreverence to make a point and punctuated it with humor. Her ability to debate heavy topics with so much knowledge and passion usually left her with the last word. I am proud of the compassion she shared with her friends and with others who were marginalized, abused, and suffered while enduring most of her own pain. Her courage to sustain this for so many years and still show a sunnier disposition toward the people she loved was a testament of Zoe's strength of character. Sadly, Zoe suffered for too long and with no expectation that it would stop, but probably get worse. In the tragically beautiful words from Zoe's letter that she left us, she wrote, "You worked tirelessly, sometimes around the clock, to out-nurture my nature. When you, Dad, used to say, 'My happiness is the best gift I could give to you,' that was so hard because I did really try to be happy for many years. But in the end, I didn't want happy. I wanted relief. Peace. My journey here has reached its natural end. And yes, I say natural because all death is natural, even if it's not normal. And I am ready to see what, if anything, comes after this. Mourn for my absence, but do not mourn for what might have been. Please believe me when I tell you this was my only path to deliverance. And I do not see it as a tragedy, but an act of self-love. It is true, Elizabeth and I did try to out-nurture her nature for many years, but all the love, all the doctors, and all the money could not change the DNA that Zoe was born with. In her final act, Zoe had incredible grace, dignity, composure, and truth. This gives me some solace, as I now stand at the crossroads of disbelief, understanding, and sadness. I am sure Zoe will find a peaceful corner in my soul to rest and to reveal new truths and inform my choices.
Everybody is worrying about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Some say once gone, you're gone forever, and some say you're gonna come back. Some say you rest in the arms of the Savior if in sinful ways you lack. Some say that they're coming back in a garden, bunch of carrots and little sweeties. I think I'll just let the mystery be. Everybody is wondering what and where they all came from. Everybody is worried about where they're gonna go when the whole thing's done. But no one knows for certain, and so it's all the same to me. I think I'll just let the mystery be.